and welcome the first story of politeness or rudeness or both from Sarah Lloyd Winder.
But
and if we all mute apart from Sarah while she's talking, that'll just help everybody.
Well, I hope it'll help everybody. Hello, good evening and welcome from sunny, very unsunny South Mims, but it is better today than yesterday. So, stories about people who might be rude. I don't know why, it's often girls who might be rude in stories. But anyway, here is my story. There was an old farmer who had 3 daughters, and he was poor. He was so poor, he wasn't really getting together even the seeds to sow in the land. So his eldest daughter said, I will go out. I will go and work. Bake me a cake, father, and I will go. So the father gave her a bottle of water and a cake, and off she went. And she walked and walked and walked. And there at the side of the road was a little man. And he said to her, where are you going? And she said, I'm going to look for service for some work. Ah, he said, now if you go down this road here, further and further, you will come to a house with a green door. If you knock on that door, I am sure she will give you some work. But whether it is good or bad for you, I do not know. The luck it will tell. Could you give me some water and cake, he said. But she looked at him and she said, no, the road is long. My legs ain't strong. I'll give you no cake and water. And off she went. She didn't help him, did she, at all? And she walked and walked, and there, sure enough, was that green door in a beautiful little house. And she knocked on the door. And there, in the doorway, suddenly was a lady in green. Not just a green dress. She had green hair. She had green skin. She had green eyes. All the way down to her green little toes. But the girl, she bobbed a curtsy, the first kind thing she'd done that day. I'm looking for service, she said. Would you have something for me to do? The lady, the green lady, looked her up and looked her down. I maybe does, she says. But there are 2 conditions. Do not look up the chimney. I will not, said the girl. Look up the chimney, that's a bit odd. Do not look in the tall grandfather clock. I will not, said the girl. Then we will have a good time together, said the lady. And in went the girl. Well, the next morning, she was up at the crack of dawn. And the woman said, what can you do? Oh, I can bake and clean and brew. I am good at brewing. And I can make a good Irish stew. Right, said the lady. Well, start with the cleaning. Clean all down here. So off went the girl, cleaning and scrubbing and scrubbing and cleaning. But then there was a noise. And down the stairs came a girl. Ooh, green she was, not quite as dark as her mother, but still green. Green of face, green of skin, green of clothes, green of fingers. And with her came a big black cat walking beside her with big black paws. And the little girl said, can you make me a slice of bread and butter? just a slice. But the girl, cleaning and cleaning on the floor, looked round and said, what do you think I am? I'm cleaning. I can't be doing with the cleaning and the making you slices of bread and butter at the same time. I'm cleaning hard. Well, said the girl, if you can't do that, that will be the last thing you do. Mother, she called. She can't even do a piece of bread and butter, and she is so rude. And the mother came down the stairs with a hatchet, and in seconds, whoop, the farmer's daughter had lost her head. And the head, it went up the chimney. And the body, it went in the clock. And so life went on. Well, shortly afterwards, back at the farm, the second daughter said to her father, I think it's time for me to go and seek my fortune. So the farmer, he yet again baked her a cake, and he gave her a bottle of water, and off she set. She walked down the road, and there she met a little man sitting at the side of the road. Where are you going? He said. Oh, I'm going to seek my fortune, she said. I think I will do service. Ah, he said, if you walk down this road, straight, and then you see a green door, knock on the door. And there will be a lady who will give you service. But whether it is good luck for you or bad luck, I don't know. Now, he said, I have done you a good turn. Could you do me a good turn? How about your cake and your water? But the second farmer's daughter looked at him up and down and said, I have a long way to go. The road is long and my legs ain't strong. I'll give you no bread or cake and water. And off she went. The poor little man, he said, how rude is that? I only asked for a bit. And she walked along and along and along, and she came to the green door, and she knocked on the door, and again there was the green woman, all green, from her head to her toes. But this daughter, she did manage to bob a curtsy. Have you work? She said. I'm looking for work. Well, said the lady, yes, I could do with some help. But there are two things you must not do. Okay, said the girl. What are those? You must not look up the chimney. Okay, she said, I won't look up the chimney. And you must not look in the big grandfather clock. I won't look in the grandfather clock, said the farmer's daughter. And in she went. What can you do? Said the green lady. Oh, I can bake and I can brew and I can make a good Irish stew. Well, I think cleaning in the morning would be best, she said. And with that, the second daughter went to sleep in front of the fire and woke early to start cleaning the house. And clean she did, and clean and scrub and clean. And then the little girl came down the stairs, the little green girl, lighter than her mother, with the big black cat. And she said to the second farmer's daughter, could you make me a slice of bread and butter? But the farmer's daughter, she was in the middle of her cleaning, and she turned and said, no, I'm doing the cleaning. Can't you see I am doing the cleaning? I haven't time to do bread and buttering. That is not baking or cooking. It is bread and buttering. I am cleaning. Well, said the daughter, that will be the last cleaning you do. Mother! And down came mother with her little hatchet, and off went the second daughter's head, and the head went up the chimney, and the body went in the grandfather clock. Well, time passed, and back at the farm, life did not improve. And the youngest daughter decided there was no hope at home, and she would have to go out and seek her fortune. So she went to her father and asked for her cake and her water, and off she went. Now this daughter, she skipped down the road. Oh, she was a happy little soul. And when she came to the little man, she asked who he was. And they chatted away merrily. And he said, "Where are you going?" "Oh, I'm going to seek my fortune," she said. "I can't do much, but I will do what I can." "Ah," he said, "well, you carry on down this road and get to a green door, knock on the door, and I'm sure she will have some work for you, but whether it is good for you or bad for you, I am not sure." And then he said, "Now, could you spare me some cake and water?" "Oh," said the girl, "thank you for being so helpful and so kind. Of course you can have my water and my cake. For the road is long and my legs are strong, and you can have my cake and water." And off she went. But goodness me, it was a long road, and her stomach, oh, it did rumble a bit as she got along the road. But she got to the green door and she knocked hard. And there came the lady. Oh, green she was, from the top of her head and her hair down to her toes, and her dress and her fingers too. Goodness me, she was green, and those eyes, they twinkled. And the farmer's daughter looked and thought, "I'd best be careful here." "I'm looking for work," she said. "Do you have some work?" "Oh, yes," said the lady, "but there are two provisions." "And what are those?" said the girl. "Well, do not look up the chimney, and do not look in the cabinet of the long grandfather clock." But the girl, she neither said yes nor no. But by then the lady had taken her into the house. She was being careful, though. And as before, she was asked what she could do, and she said, "I can bake and I can brew and I can cook a very good Irish stew." "Well," said the lady, "at the moment, I think the first thing I need you to do would be to clean this whole room in the morning." And with that, the lady went upstairs, and the girl, she laid down and she slept in front of the fire. And the next morning she woke up and she started to scrub. And then down the stairs came the little girl, green as green can be, with her great big black cat creeping down the stairs. "Can you make me a slice of bread and butter?" "Oh, yes," said the youngest farmer's daughter, and soon they were sitting at the table having slices of bread and butter, and the mother came down and had bread and butter too, and they ate their full. And the farmer's daughter, oh, that young girl, she felt her tummy full for the first time in ages. "Now," said the mother, "I am going to take my daughter out. You will stay here and look after the house." And with that, two cats came into the room, black cats, and they were saddled and they were bridled, and the mother and the daughter got on the cats. And out they went, pad, 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 and the door was closed. The farmer's daughter, she waited and listened. She listened and listened carefully until she could not hear the pad, pad, pad of the cat anymore. And then she went and she looked up the chimney, and there she saw her sisters' heads hung by the hair up the chimney, and she pulled them down and she cried as she stroked their hair down and cleaned their faces of the soot, and she laid their heads down. And then she went and looked in the grandfather clock, and there in the clock case were two bodies, and she pulled out bodies and she laid them down and stretched out their dresses and pulled out the creases, and as she put the head to the neck, they joined together, and the eyes of her sisters blinked, and they looked at her. "What has happened to us? What has happened?" they said. But the youngest daughter said, there is no time for that, for quick, I can hear them coming back. Run, we must run, quick. And she pulled her sisters out the back door and into the garden. And she ran past the apple trees. She ran past the pear trees. And there were the prickly, prickly gooseberry bushes at the bottom of the garden. And she called to the gooseberry bushes, please, please, bushes, hide us where they won't find us, please. Otherwise they will break our bones. And they crawled underneath those gooseberry bushes, and not one prick of the sharp, sharp thorns got any of the girls. And they hid just in time. For round the front of the house came the mother and their daughter, riding on their black, black cats. And they threw open the front door and said, will you slice us a slice of bread and butter for us? But there was no answer. And they stepped inside, confused. There is nobody here, said the mother. There is nobody here, said the daughter. And then they rushed and they looked up the chimney. There is nobody here, said the mother. And they ran to the long, tall clock and they looked inside. There is nobody here, said the daughter. And they went outside, the mother carrying her sharp, sharp chopping knife. And she shouted at the apple trees, where are they? Where are they? But the apple tree didn't answer, so she chopped, 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 chopped down the tree. And then she went to the pear tree. Where are they? She asked the pear tree, and the pear tree didn't answer. And so she chopped, 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 chopped down the pear tree. And then she went to the gooseberry bushes. And one of the bushes said, not here, not there, but far away. That's where they may be. And another gooseberry bush said, over the hills and down by the river, under the water, and you may see. So the mother and the daughter leapt upon their black, black cats, and off they went over the hill and down to the water's edge, and there into the waters on their black, black cats. But they sank, and they sank, and the waters came over the top of them, and they were drowned. And the farmer's daughter, the youngest daughter, pulled her sisters out. And they ran to the house and they lifted the latch and they ran inside. And upstairs in a box, they found enough gold to keep them all safe. And the youngest daughter picked it all out and put it in her pocket and grabbed her sister's hands, and off they went home. And of course, the moral of the story is, be polite. Do not be rude to little people at the side of the road who try and give you advice. And do not be rude to people who are green, however difficult you think they are, when all they ask is for bread and butter. And that is the end of my strange story of the green people who rode cats. And that is the most strange part of the whole thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. And I do like a bit of decapitation with a happy ending. There's the ideal combination, little comeuppance as well. And also the second chance for the sisters. May
Yes.
they have learnt their lesson. I doubt it.
Yeah,
Oh,
so do
well,
I.
welcome everyone. A few people have joined us during the story. Andrea, well, you caught the beginning. Lovely. Jan, just see you creeping around the corner of your screen there. There we are. Teresa, Norman, Sue, welcome. And welcome to our next storyteller with, now I'm not sure if we're going to have a tale of rudeness or politeness or a combination of both. But, and with Chip, you never know. So, but please, can we welcome Chip Colquhoun?
Thank you very much, John. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Fantastic. And thank you, John, for a lovely introduction and for keeping Sarah and me on our toes by changing the running order in the last split second. That was brilliant, wasn't it, Sarah? It's lovely to see everybody again. There are so many faces here I haven't seen for months. Hello, Sue. Hello, Adela. Good to have you back. And there are faces here I don't think I've seen maybe ever. Jan, I don't think I've seen your face for any of ever, have I? Is this the first? Oh no, hang on. We have met, haven't we? Yes. It's that must have been even longer back then. And Teresa, have we met? You're kind of in shadow there.
Oh, sorry. No, we haven't met. This is my first session. I found you through looking at the British Business Association in Marrakesh, because I'm about to move to Marrakesh.
You found the World Storytelling Cafe.
There was a link through. I have been to Cafe Clock, and in fact, I have told a story in Cafe Clock once.
Brilliant. So we've got storytellers here.
Can I cut into that conversation for a second?
Yeah.
If you told a story at the Cafe Clock, Teresa,
yeah,
would you care to join us in 2 weeks' time? No, we have a world. It's not. I'm not asking you the whole set. We have every 2 weeks on a Sunday. We have a story round, a worldwide story round, which is a sort of open mic thing, and it's hosted by. You can either come as an audience or just come and. But feel free to come and tell a story on that one.
I'll work myself up to that. That would be lovely. Thank you for the invitation. It's a very short story, but I love it. It's one from Richard Hamilton's book.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, I have that book because the cafe is kind of based in part of the cafe is based in Marrakesh.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna, there's so. And also any children watch or anyone who's got children, we have a open children's night. Does Andrea tell? Yeah.
Sorry, this is Adela. I'm only her mum.
Do you tell Adela?
She hasn't tried yet.
Yeah, well, you've just come on. There's tomorrow night we have young tellers, so that's people under 18, and mainly sort of 12 years old. At 5 o'clock in the evening. Now I've just Chip keeps trying to tell a story, you see, and then I changed the order accidentally because my brain wasn't functioning. Now I've just jumped in as he was about to introduce himself, so he'll never speak to me again. But I'm going to pass back to Chip.
That is so untrue. That was completely planned, wasn't it, John? We wanted to have that interjection to announce the children's night tomorrow. And I have to admit, Adela, if you are there and you do tell a story tomorrow, I promise I will be there too, because I would love to hear you tell a story. You've had so many from me. I think it's about time we did it the other way round, don't you? Anyway, as John said when he introduced me the first time, or possibly the second, I've lost count now, you never know what you're going to get from me. And one of the reasons for that is because I never know what you're going to get from me either. Now, we know that this is an evening of politeness and rudeness. But I need to know what you are more in the mind for, especially since Sarah gave us such a balanced table of politeness and rudeness, really, didn't she? She gave us a lot of the rudeness, but also showed us how to be polite. So what would you like? Would you like to go for something really strong and polite and maybe a quest of some kind, or would you like to go down and out rude? What kind of audience do we have here right now? So I tell you what, if you would like something rude, what I want to see you doing on your screens here is going, or if you don't have your screen active, let's see rude in capital letters in the chat. but if you would like something quite polite, then maybe give me a very polite thumbs up on the screen, or just in lowercase. Let's see the word polite in the chat. Okay, I'm seeing lots of stag fingers here. I've only got one thumb. Oh, I'm so sorry. It looks like we're going to be having a tale of rudeness. But I tell you what, Jan, since you are so desperate for something polite, I'll make sure there is a little bit of politeness in there for you. How's about that? Just for you, Jan. The story I have for you then comes all the way from Africa. And there are lots of animals I'm sure you would instantly associate with Africa. A key one, of course, being the lion, who is the king of the jungle. I mean, you don't need me to mention the lion, really. Perhaps those of you here that I can see in the cafe, and even if you're watching this on something like YouTube or Facebook or worldstorytellingcafe.com, why are you doing that? Why aren't you here with us? You could be here with us right now. It's totally free. You just go to worldstorytellingcafe.com and click on the little join story button, and boom, you're here with us, and then we can see and join in with you too. But however you're watching this, show me how you would turn yourself into a lion. What can you do with your facial features? Okay, right, I'm seeing some claws. I'm seeing some wonderful use of Adela's hair there. That's brilliant. Giving yourself a mane. Oh, we've even got some cuddly lions appearing here in the World Storytelling Cafe. That is brilliant. Okay, so lions definitely there in Africa. What other animals might we have in an African story, would you say? What other animals might you meet in an African jungle or an African desert? I'm guessing from Sarah raising her hand up all the way like this, she's talking about armpit lice. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Oh, do you mean giraffes? Yes, of course, there would be giraffes in Africa. Absolutely. And that is one of the ways that you can make yourself into a giraffe. It works better if you pluck out your eyes and stick them onto your hand first. But I'm not going to do that because obviously my hand's off screen at the moment. If you can, brilliant. Any other animals in Africa that you can suggest? Oh, I'm loving this one. That I'm guessing is an elephant. Yes, got it first time. Can anybody think of any other way to make an elephant? Because that's one. Yeah. They also have really flappy ears, don't they? So if your nose is already quite long, like John's is, you can just make your ears extra flappy like that. There we go. Right. What other animals might we have in Africa? I'm seeing Adela's muscles. You are quite strong. Do you have an animal to show me though? Oh, hang on, she's beating her chest as well. She really wants to show me how strong she is, doesn't she? Yeah, we get that you are the future Miss World, Adela, but what is this animal that you can think of from Africa?
Gorilla.
Oh, gorilla! Yes, of course. They're almost as strong as you, aren't they? Yes, we get gorillas in Africa. You can show that perhaps by giving a lot of muscle like Adela was and beating your chest and usually looking quite grumpy. I don't know why, but gorillas are always grumpy. Maybe that's because they've realized that they've been very unfairly represented in most of the cartoons that Disney have made. So yes, you can make a gorilla. All of these animals are in the story. There was the giraffe, there was the gorilla, and there was the elephant, and there was another animal much smaller than all of the others that I know some of you have got already, maybe because you saw me post something about it on Facebook, yeah? This was a little spider called Anansi. And at the start of this story, every single animal was really happy during the day. And at the end of a lovely, hard, long day, they would really cozily settle in to go to sleep. All of you, if you make a giraffe, however you'd like to make a giraffe, show me a giraffe going to sleep. It's quite tricky, isn't it? How do giraffes sleep? I actually have no idea. But yeah, I imagine they would kind of look like a leaning tower of pizza of some kind. And we had the elephant. How would the elephant go to sleep? Show me an elephant going to sleep. Probably wrapping their trunks around or closing their ears over their eyes. Yeah. And what else? Oh, the gorilla. Show me a gorilla going to sleep. That one would be quite easy, wouldn't it? Yeah. or nestling into their own armpits. Yeah, as I can see some of you doing. And Anansi as well. Anansi, that little spider, he would run off into a cove and he would go to sleep. The last animal to sleep, though, would be the one I mentioned first, the lion, the so-called king of the jungle. He was the last to go to sleep because he would always eat just before going to bed. And he quite enjoyed eating at this time because it gave him a very pleasurable feeling in his belly as he settled down for the night. That kind of pleasurable feeling that also comes with a noise rather like this. And as soon as he made that noise, all of the other animals woke up. The giraffe woke up. The elephant woke up. And the gorilla woke up. And Anansi also woke up. And they would find it very difficult to get back to sleep. But the lion snuggled down into his mane and enjoyed a really peaceful night. This happened pretty much every single night of the week. After a fairly decent day of leaf munching or water squirting or chest bashing or web swinging, all of the other animals, they would settle down for sleep. Let's see your giraffes going to sleep. Lovely. Let's see your elephants going to sleep. Yeah, I like that one too. Let's see your gorillas going to sleep. They better make sure they haven't got too much BO if they're falling asleep in their armpits, eh? Let's see your Anansis going to sleep. But of course, lion, he would wait until all of the others were asleep. I think he was probably doing this on purpose, you know. He would eat just before bedtime so he got that pleasurable feeling in his belly, so that as he settled down for a snooze, he issued that great big and it was loud, it was thunderous, it was so huge, all of the other animals shot awake straight away. Let's see your giraffe shooting awake. Let's see your elephant shooting awake. Let's see your gorillas shooting awake. And let's see your spiders shooting awake. And again, the other animals, they would not be able to go back to sleep. And the lion, he was happy, he was cozy, he snuggled down into his mane. I don't know if lions purr, but they're big cats, so they probably do. And that would have been the sound that he made as he enjoyed his good night's rest. But the others, they didn't get that. Now, at the start of this story, I told you that during the day, these animals were happy. But after you have many, many nights without sleep, that happiness is harder and harder to hold on to. And many of the animals began to get grumpy. Those of you who've got children, you know what this is like, don't you? The more you stay up looking after your children, the harder it is for you to remain positive, isn't it? You start to get more and more grumpy. I'm seeing Sue nodding particularly eagerly there. I mean, how many times have you done it, Sue? 1,000? Wow. Goodness me, Sue is our most prolific mummy machine here, it seems, by the looks of it. So the animals were beginning to get so grumpy and wondering what they could do to stop Lion making that hideous noise just before he went to sleep. Fortunately, of course, one of those animals was Anansi. Fortunately for two reasons. Firstly, he was a particularly clever spider, and he was pretty sure he would be able to trick Lion into leaving his burping behind. Just realised that taken out of context, the phrase burping behind could have a very different meaning, couldn't it? But anyway, the second reason why this was particularly fortunate is because Jan wanted some politeness in this story. And Anansi was also quite a polite little spider. The first part of his plan was to go up to Lion and very politely say, "Lion, King of the jungle, Your Highness, you are such a great king. We love you immensely. And that is why we are so grateful when you do things for us, like not burping anymore. We love you ever so much when you don't burp anymore. It is just a sign of the amazing king that you are." But of course, the lion's immediate response to this was, "You're just trying to trick me, little spider. I know you are trying to take my fun away. So no, you will not have that from me. I will keep on burping as often as I like. In fact, I'm going to do it right now like this. There we are. See? Oh, it feels so good." Well, Anansi realized that plan A hadn't worked, so he was going to move on to plan B. And he said, "Okay, you got me, Your Highness. I was trying to trick you, but that's only because I care for you. I care for you because I know if you keep on burping, eventually everything you eat will fly out of your body. And the great strength you have as king of the jungle will disappear." Well, remember, the lion knew that Anansi was a trickster and was pretty sure that Anansi was trying to trick him here. But that did sound a little bit worrying, the idea of completely losing your strength. I mean, he wouldn't be a very good king if he wasn't strong anymore, would he? But do you think the lion is going to listen to Anansi? Do you think he's going to listen to Anansi this early on in the story? There we go. I'm getting lots and lots of shaking heads. So, of course, the lion said, "Be off with you, Anansi, and your silly stories. That is absolute poppycock." And Anansi went back off into the undergrowth, realizing that both his plans so far hadn't made any difference. But that wasn't the end of it. Remember, this story is only just beginning. Lion then went off to do what he usually did in the day, and he went and caught some food. Anybody know what it is that lions like to eat? It's a genuine question because I have no idea. Any thoughts on this? I've got a few people making mouthy movements, but no
Vegan
unmuted
veggie
mics.
burgers?
Sorry?
Vegan veggie burgers.
Vegan veggie burgers. Yeah, I'm getting a few people saying, yeah, that's good. Yeah. Oh, I'm getting a few shaking heads as well. Anybody got a different idea? Go on then, Adela. Oh, sorry, Jan?
Wildebeests, wild beasties.
Wild beasties, wildy beasties. Is that what you were going to say, Adela? That's incredible, Jan. You read Adela's mind. In a Zoom room. Whoa! That's mind-blowing, isn't it? We've got cross-Zoom telepathy going on here. That's amazing. I have to admit, not only am I kind of thinking that Jan's got the better answer here, John, but I'm also slightly scared. If she's able to use telepathy, then she could potentially punish me for not choosing her answer. So thank you for the suggestion of vegan burgers, John, but I think we'll go with Jan for today. And that's exactly what Lion did. He went out and he caught himself a wildebeest to eat that evening. Now, Anansi happened to know that these wildebeest were a favourite delicacy of another animal in Africa. Another animal that some of you may have heard of. In fact, Adela's having a go at using her telepathy now and putting her hand up before I've even asked the question. Go on then, Adela. What animal do you think I'm going to say?
Tiger.
Tiger. A tiger? In Africa? In Africa? A tiger? Do you know, there were tigers in Africa long, long ago. There aren't anymore, but there were at the time of this story. So, yep, Anansi went to his friend the tiger and asked his friend the tiger to go and catch a few more wildebeest that day just for him. So he went and caught 3 wildebeest for Anansi. Tiger was a little bit confused about this because normally spiders don't eat wildebeests. But Anansi said to Tiger that this was a very good investment. It would allow Tiger to get some sleep at night. And bearing in mind that Tiger also lived in the jungle, and so he was also kept awake every time the lion went. Tiger was very, very happy to invest 3 wildebeest, to go out and catch 3 wildebeest and give them to Anansi. That night, the giraffes went to sleep. Let me see your giraffes going to sleep. Let me see your elephants going to sleep. Let me see your gorillas going to sleep. And let me see your tigers going to sleep. Ah, you weren't expecting that one, were you? How do we do a tiger going to sleep? Yeah, I suppose they're kind of putting their head down in their claws or something like that. Yeah. Anansi, though, didn't go to sleep. He stayed with his 3 wildebeest in a little clearing just out of sight of Lion. And of course, Lion wasn't going to sleep either. He was tucking into his wildebeest, his catch of the day, which he always did around about this time, so that he would get that lovely, pleasurable feeling in his tummy. And just as Lion lay down, he made that and it resounded all around the jungle, so that, again, all of the animals woke up. Let's see your animals waking up. In fact, some of the animals were waking up and starting to have conversations, as we could hear going on. Thanks very much for that contribution, Sue. Yes, all of the animals were awake, but the lion was snuggled down in his mane, feeling very pleased and happy with himself. Well, Anansi waited a little while until he was sure that the lion was asleep. Then he went and grabbed one of the wildebeest that Tiger had brought for him, and he pulled it out in front of Lion. And then he skittled away again. That was no mean feat for a spider, really, was it? I mean, spider this big, wildebeest this big. Even so, he was so determined to get a good night's sleep, he managed it. And it wasn't long before the smell of that wildebeest crept up the nose of Lion, who startled awake. And he noticed that this wildebeest was in front of him. And he realized this was exactly what Anansi had said. He had burped up his food. And if he burped up his food, well, then his muscles wouldn't be as strong. The solution for Lion was obvious. He needed to eat the wildebeest again. So straight away he gobbled it up. And after gobbling up his second wildebeest of the day, he began to get that lovely feeling in his belly. So as he settled down for his rest, he made that disgusting which resounded all around the forest as he nestled down into his mane to sleep. And as soon as Anansi was sure he was asleep, he went and got his second wildebeest and pulled it out in front of the Lion, then skittled away again. I think Anansi's muscles would probably be getting quite big after this story. The Lion soon caught a whiff of this wildebeest in front of him. And when he saw it, he woke up with a start. To him, it was exactly the same wildebeest. I mean, pretty much every wildebeest looks the same. That's one thing that Disney got right. And when he saw it, Lion immediately thought this was exactly what Anansi had said would happen. He was burping up his food. And if he kept on doing that, then his muscles were going to get weaker and weaker, and he couldn't let that happen. The solution was obvious. He had to eat the wildebeest again. So he ate it again, and he got that pleasurable feeling in his tummy. And even though he kind of knew that it might not stay down, well, it was just too strong a habit to break at the moment, and he gave another great big as he got down into his mane and snuggled down again. And as soon as Anansi was sure he was asleep, he pulled out his third and final wildebeest. His final wildebeest. This was his last chance, guys. This was his last chance for it to work. But since all of you are story aficionados, you know that this is time number 3. So yeah, is it gonna work? After a little while, a whiff from that wildebeest went straight up the nose of the Lion, and he woke up with a start. And he saw the wildebeest in front of him. What Anansi had said was absolutely right. He was burping up his food. And if he kept on doing that, then his muscles would get weaker, and the jungle couldn't have a king that was weak. There was only one solution. To eat the wildebeest again. So the Lion got stuck into the wildebeest and gobbled it down. And as he took his last swallow, he suddenly didn't feel too good. He felt enormously sick. It seemed it wasn't going to wait this time. It was all going to explode out of him, even without him burping. He had to make sure he didn't burp. Lion, feeling a terrible pain in his core, nestled down between his paws, and tried to sleep. But it was a real struggle because he spent most of that night struggling not to burp, struggling to keep the wildebeest inside him. The following morning, all of the other animals were really happy and refreshed after a good night's sleep. Let me see your happy giraffes. Yay! If you can get your mouth up there, that would make it look even more like a happier giraffe. And let me see your happy elephants. There we go, yep. And let me see your happy gorillas. Interesting, yeah, you've got to try and do a grumpy face and a happy face at the same time. And let me see, of course, your happy spider faces. Lion had not had a very good night's sleep, and so he decided it was probably best from that night on if he never burped again. And I'm sure there is a moral in there somewhere. I'm not as good as Sarah. I'm not able to just figure out what the moral is, but maybe you folks can. And if you can, do please share that story on, because that's what we're all about here, isn't it, John?
Well, yeah. If you got a story, it'll weigh down like a wildebeest inside you. So you got to let it go and pass it on.
Definitely.
And I'm really jealous of that ability to sort of belch continuously. It would have been a great skill 3,556 years ago when I was in the classroom. Every time a teacher turned its back, it would have been magnificent to let something like that out. But no, I'm not encouraging that sort of behavior to any people listening. Thank you, Chip. That was. I had visions of. I thought the line was going to explode at the end. I had visions of sort of bits of lion stuck over all the trees in the rainforest. But that's fine. It learned to behave. Behave yourself. Right. Well, thank you, Chip. Round of applause for Chip there. Whoa, fantastic. Oh dear. I'm going to go from Africa to the frozen north. I'm going to go to Norway, I think, for my story. I'll try and get through it in, I'll try and get through it in, well, at least no longer than 5 hours. No, about 10 minutes or so. It's from way back in time, obviously, when my hair was dark and my beard was ginger and all my teeth were my own. And there was a king, and predictably enough, he had 3 sons. And it's sort of barren way up north. It's almost as barren as if you stick your head over the wall in Marrakesh and just look out at all that desert. And well, it depends which side you're looking at. You might look at. If you go to where they colour the leather and you look over the wall there's desert on the far side, and so there's but there was just had one tree in his garden. It was a beautiful apple tree, and on that one tree grew the one branch, and on the one branch hung the one apple. And every year, the apple nearly turned to gold. But just as it was nearly gold all over, and I'm not talking about those soft and mushy gold and delicious, which we probably won't be able to get now because they're all important. No, don't go there. I'm talking about solid, serious gold. And the king really wanted that golden apple, but every year, just as it was turning to gold, a thief came and stole that apple. So he turned to his oldest son. He said, "Look, boy," or well, I'm not sure if a king says, "Look, boy." That's a bit sort of East End, but whatever the kingly equivalent is of my barking roots. Look, boy, if you can catch that thief, you will inherit that kingdom. My kingdom. In fact, I'll let you have half it straight away. So the oldest son goes out, sits underneath a tree, and he waits. And he waits. He's really, is it. He is convinced he's going to do this. Of course, he falls asleep, but at midnight there was a rush of wind, and a bird with wings that glinted like the sun landed in the tree. And the king the boy looked up. And he was frightened out of his wits. And he ran and he locked that door behind him. And of course, next morning the apple was gone. Well, a year went by. And that's not true, because I've missed out an essential chunk of the story that has, which it's been a long night and it's been a long day. There was an ambulance outside at 6:30 this morning, not for me, but of course that light flashed in my bedroom window, and I had anyway, that's by the by. So the boy turned to the king. He went and said, he said, "King, no, don't worry, I'm going to catch the thief." And he was given this fantastic bag of food and good drink, and he took the finest horse and he set off. Well, it was that time. He's getting a bit hungry. You know how it goes. Norman, you've been there. You're out on a hike or something. You just think, "Oh, I'll just sit here and I'll have something to eat." And he sat on a log and was clearing. Out comes a fox. Said, "Excuse me," said the fox. He said, "I'm a bit hungry. Can you share your food with me?" "You what? You think I'm going to share my food with something with pointed ears and a long bushy tail? Get out of it. Go back in the woods where you came from." "Please yourself," said the fox. Well, off went the boy and he carried on riding. He came to a city. He went to the city and there was an inn. There was the sound of music coming from that inn. And well, I know we've been a bit short of live music this last few months, but I'm really looking forward to when I can have that live music again. And it's but even when it was an everyday event, you couldn't if there was somewhere and there was no door charge and there was music coming from the door, you had to go in. And so off he went in and he started dancing, and he soon forgot about the golden apple or his father or the fox or anything. And a year went by. And on the one tree grew the one branch, and on the one branch hung the one apple, and that apple had nearly turned to gold. And the second son, "Oh, catch the thief." And he went out and he sat underneath a tree. And at midnight there was a rushing of wind, and a bird with feathers that glinted like the sun landed in the tree. And the boy was so frightened he ran inside and locked the door behind him. But the next morning he turned to his dad and he said, "Dad, I'm going to catch that thief." And he was given a slightly smaller bag of food and slightly less drink and the second best horse in the stable. And off he went. And he came to like clearing and he sat down for something to eat. And out came the fox. "Excuse me, I've met some really mean, I was about a year ago, I met this really mean guy. I'm sure you're not like that. Would you share your food?" "You what? You think I'm going to share my food with something covered in hair with a black tip on the end of its tail? Get out of it." "Please yourself," said the fox. Well, the boy carried on. He came to the city, and there was the inn, and there was the music, and he couldn't resist it. He went inside, and he started dancing. He soon forgot about the fox, or the apple, or the thief, or the golden bird, or his dad, or anything. And a year went by. And on the one tree grew the one branch, and on the one branch hung that one apple, and that apple had nearly turned to gold. And the youngest son said, "I'll have a go." And this time he took a pack of cards with him, and he was sort of playing patience underneath to keep himself awake. And at midnight, and he put a ladder up, because if you're going to catch a thief up a tree, it's a sort of basic thing, leap up the ladder. And midnight, there was a rushing of wind, and a bird with golden feathers that glinted like the sun landed in the tree, and the boy rushed up the ladder, and he made a grab for the bird. He just caught one feather, pulled it out, but the bird escaped with the golden apple. Well, the boy went to his dad, he said, and he walked in, and his dad's bedroom, you know, there's, you know, that one golden feather lit up the whole bedroom. He said, Dad, I nearly got it. I've got to catch this thief. And Dad said, well, look, I've lost 2 sons already. I don't want to lose my 3rd. He said, I'll be back. Trust me. Well, there wasn't much food left. It's been a bad year. Lots of problems with furries and that sort of thing. And there's so shelves are empty everywhere. But there was a bit of food left in the pantry, and he got that food, and he and there wasn't even a horse left. He walked till he came to the clearing, and he sat down. He was really shattered. He was really hungry. And out came the fox. Said, excuse me, you wouldn't believe how mean human beings are. But you wouldn't happen to have just a morsel of food with me. And the boy said, well, I haven't got much, but what I have, you can share. And he told the fox his story, and the fox said, I'll help you. And they carried on till they came to the city, and they heard that sound. Well, the fox said, actually, the fox didn't come in the city because it's full of dogs, and it was a bit afraid. And he said, look, go into the city, you'll hear an inn, you'll hear music coming from an inn. Your brothers are in there. If you want to rescue your brothers, shout for them to come out. Whatever you do, don't go inside. The boy promised, but you know, it's like with promises, they're easy to make and hard to keep. And he heard that music, and it was so enticing, he went inside. And he soon forgot about the fox, his promise, the golden apple, the bird, or anything. And the fox thought, the fox knew what had happened. You know, it didn't take much imagination after he'd waited a few days. And he came in and he shouted, boy, come out. The boy came out. He said, I told you not to. He said, never mind. He said, never mind. He said, come with me. And they walked for a long way till they came to a mountain. And they went up the mountain. They looked down, and there was a little castle. And outside the castle was a linden tree. And in that linden tree was the golden bird. And the fox took a little twig from its hat. All good foxes wear a hat. And I said, go down, just lean up and just touch that bird with that twig. And then rush back. Whatever you do, don't make a sound. The boy promised. He says, because you know, because inside the castle is an ogre, you know, and a serious ogre. It'll eat you up with one gulp. Well, down went the boy. Of course, he couldn't resist. He grabbed the bird. He couldn't resist saying, "Gotcha!" Out came the ogre. Who's trying to steal my golden bird? I'm going to eat you up in one gulp. I think not, said the boy. He said, because it takes the thief to recognize one, and only the unlucky ones hang. All right, I'll let you off, said the ogre. If you go to my brother and bring back the flying horse he stole from me. Of course, the boy promised, and he went back, and the fox said, look, can't you do anything you're told? I just told you not to make a noise. That's all you had to do. Just still, I promised I'd help, and the promise is a promise. He said, do you happen to ask where that brother lived? He said, yeah. He said it was about 100 miles from here, and a mountain as red as the sky when the sun sets. So when they set off and they walked their 100 miles, there was the castle of the second ogre. And the fox said, go down, go into the stable. There will be the flying horse. And there will be 2 bridles, one of leather, one of gold and diamonds. Whatever you do, don't touch the one of gold and diamonds. Well, it's predictable, isn't it? You know, and this is true. His hand was going. It was going. You know, we've you know, when we're not supposed to do something, we try desperately not to do it, and his hand was nearly on the leather bridle when it moved across, and he grabbed the gold and diamond one. Who's stealing my flying horse? said the ogre. 2 rows of teeth, blood dripping from every tooth. I'm going to eat you up in one gulp. Well, I think not, said the boy, because takes a thief to recognise one, only the unlucky ones hang. All right, I'll let you off, said the ogre, if you go to my brother and bring back the princess he stole from me. Where he lived? Oh, about 100 miles from there, at the top of a mountain as blue as a cloudless sky. Well, he told the fox what was going on. The fox, no. All right, we'll do it. I promise to help. And they go to 100 miles and come to the mountain as blue as a cloudless sky. There's the castle. And the fox said, look, boy, you've not done a word you've been told. I'm going down there. I'm going to, you know, I can't trust you. I'm going to get it myself. And he went down, he got the princess, and they went back and they got the horse and they got the golden bird, and yeah, and they're running and they're running and they're running and they run for hours and hours. And the fox turns around to the boy and he says, you 3, you carry on with your golden bird and your horse and your princess. I'll wait here. While he was waiting, he wove a suit of straw, and he looked just like a preacher. Well, along came the 3 ogres. They were mad, they were wild, and they said, you don't happen to have seen passing by here a boy, a princess, a flying horse, a golden linden tree with a, you know, and a golden bird inside? Well, I think I did see such a thing, said the fox, dressed as the preacher. But that was in my grandmother's day, when she'd break 13 cakes and sell you 26 for a shilling, and you get a shilling. I don't know. It was that long ago. I can't even think about it. Well, if it's been that long, said the ogres, we'll never catch them. And off they went. They went back. Well, the fox carried on looking for the boy. By this time, the boy got to the city. And he went and he called his brothers out from inside the inn. And the brothers looked at the horse, and they looked at the golden linden tree and the golden bird and the princess. And they thought, we're not going to let little brother have all this. And they put him in a barrel and they cast him out to sea. And they went back and they told the king that they had done all this. And the oldest one said, I in particular caught the thief. So I think I should not only have your kingdom, but I should marry the princess as well. Well, meanwhile, the fox is looking for the boy, and he sees this barrel bobbing up and down in the sea. He said, barrel, what are you doing bobbing up in the sea? I'm not an empty barrel, came a voice from the barrel. I'm your friend, the boy. The fox swam out and he kicked out. He said, kick out the side of the barrel, and the boy kicked out the side of the barrel, and they swam back to shore. Meanwhile, the wedding is about to happen. Just as the priest got to that point, will you take this man to be your lord? When there was a crash, And in came the boy with the fox. And of course, the game was up for the two brothers, and they were sent into exile. And they were lucky they weren't put in barrels of nails and cast out into the ocean themselves. But obviously, the princess is it's absolutely predictable. She's going to marry the boy. But just as they're getting ready for the wedding, the fox said, "Look, boy," he said, "you've not done a thing you've been asked. I've got this one request for you. Put me on the chopping board. Take your sharpest axe and chop off my head." "I can't do that. You've looked after me. You saved me life a dozen times. You just, and you're my best friend. I'm not going to chop off your, for once in your life. Do as you are told." Well, he couldn't even watch. He sort of had one, but he had to, "No, look at what you're doing or you'll miss." Well, it took a while and he was hesitating. But whack! Off came the fox's head. And in its place stood a handsome prince. And that prince was the brother of the princess. And of course, there was a great family reunion and a great wedding and an even greater wedding feast. And had you been there, each and every one of you would have been invited. By Ben Story. And that is the end of this incredibly long session. But thank you. It's
Big
been
round of
brilliant.
applause for John's story there. Come on, there we are.
Well, and Sarah, thank you for your story. Round of applause for Sarah. Round of applause for Chip. And I'm John Rowe. This is the World Storytelling Cafe. I shall be back with stories without as much decapitation in, because I'm doing the Friday night children's night stories for children. So I reduce. Okay, we'll keep the decapitation in because that's all right, because you've got to have it. If you're working with children, you've got to have a bit of blood and guts. But I shall be back on Friday night, and in the meantime, there's the British Moroccan Society on Thursday in the evening, and then David Heathfield and his friends are going to be on Saturday night, and I can't even remember what's coming up, but I'm going to get in touch with Ali, who's going to put it all up on the schedule for us. And I should have done this for him already, but I failed miserably. Meanwhile, thank you very much for coming, and good night. If you want to pop something in the hat, which will be around somewhere, please do so. But thank you very much.
Cheerio, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, Ali, for driving the bus.
Bye.
Thank you, John. Thank you, my friends.
See you tomorrow night, Adela.